Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome back to the AOR GT3 Elite League on the PC version of Project Cars. We are on the second round of Season 4 here at the infamous Imola circuit for what will surely provide an exciting and tricky race for these drivers, and to make it even more trickier we have got, as you can see on the screen, some rainy conditions here for this race, which will surely provide an interesting challenge and dynamic to this race for the drivers. Last time out, of course, we were in Brno for the season opener, a race which saw Kaki take the win ahead of F1 Masa, those two guys being quite dominant out in front. Brownski finishing on the final spot on the podium, and there were a lot of battles going on throughout the whole field basically in that race. And before we jump into the race for Imola, we are going to have a quick look at the qualifying order for this one. And as you can see, F1 Masa, the reigning Season 3 champion, is back on top with pole position by just 0.3 of a second ahead of one of his two teammates, TonyR in the other Aston Martin. Papant and Jinder S taking the second row on the grid. Mikael 7M, Jellyfish, Tippel, Nesterovic and Brownski rounding off the top 10 on what will be a 21-man grid here once again. And to take you through the race now, along with myself in the commentary box, is Yoki065, so I hope you enjoy the race, guys. And we're gonna have to retire to the pit stop box once we get out of the car. Doesn't sound like anyone's crashed already. So here we go, lights about to go out for round 2 in the rain at Imola, and here we go. Retire to the pit box, get into that spectator mode, move on to, I can barely do anything here. Here we go. And Bobby Dinder in 4th place has kept that position off the start. Both of the Aston Martins as well out in front, so they are staying ahead. We still have Masa in the lead ahead of TonyR, and then Papan in 3rd, Kaki still retaining 5th place as well. So all as it started in the top 5, there's a bit of a gap actually already behind Kaki. I think that's a Tipple. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say Brownski, but yeah, you got it right. You called it right with Tipple.
Yeah, Tipple in 6th place, holding up a bit of a train, although not really, because everyone's kind of in the train at this point in the race. And did we have someone close? I think Kaki is pretty close to his teammate. But we actually, the two leaders, TonyR, trying to pressure his teammate F1 Masa, coming through the middle part of the lap here. Very tricky braking zone for this corner. You're going through the kink and immediately braking for the uphill right-hander there. Very tricky, and especially in these conditions. Heading towards a chicane as well, where it's pretty easy to clatter the curb a bit too hard. Also very easy to extend the track on the outside. A bit too much than you are allowed to, but you guys still holding station. TonyR behind Masa at the moment, and then still Papand in third place. I don't know if you've seen anything, Yoki, during this first lap that I've missed, but so far it doesn't look like too many positions, certainly not in the front of the field.
No, I've basically been following what you have. Obviously started watching the lap with Kaki, and he got fairly close to his teammate Dinder a couple of times. I'm now obviously following the battle between P1 and 2, TonyR, and the slipstream of F1 Masa. I did start to wonder if Tony was going to have a look, potentially past Masa coming into turn 1, but I think it was more just to get out the spray to spot his braking point, because obviously the car in front kicking up an awful lot of spray in these very wet and tricky conditions. It'll be very, very difficult to spot your reference points for your braking and turning in zones. Make sure you need to get those nailed down to obviously keep the car on the track, because running off wide in these kind of conditions will be very, very costly. And it looked like Dinder there was a little bit slow coming out the apex of that hairpin, but I believe he is still maintaining position in front of Kaki. He is, yes. So he's still holding on to that 4th place at the moment. I believe it looks like most people have pretty much held station on this first lap and taken it fairly easy. I haven't heard any contacts or anything, although it looked like Papand ran a little bit wide there coming out of the right-hander at the bottom of the hill, leading up into this rather tricky chicane with the large sausage curbs on the inside. You want to avoid those, the black and yellow marked curbing that will unsettle the car. However, you can take the other curbing, and then obviously trying to keep the car between the white lines with at least 2 wheels on the circuit coming out through the exit as well. Papan there using the curve quite aggressively on the exit of the penultimate corner, taking the final corner quite nicely, accelerating down. Start finish straight now to begin lap 3.
Indeed, and midway through the previous lap I did kind of scroll through the field just so people could see where everyone was. It did look like Brownski had dropped down to 13th place actually, the man who finished on the podium last time out, and Kaki still stuck behind his teammate Jinder S in 5th position. Jinder doing a good job so far, no one really making any mistakes, not major ones anyway at the moment, and it's very hard in these conditions especially to get past when unless the car ahead makes a mistake, because as you said, it's so hard to spot your reference points when you got a spray in your face. Maybe Jinder ran a little bit wide there, but no, didn't really lose too much time. Okay, really pressuring him though. I tried to get through on the inside, but no, he understeered into the back nearly of Jinder there on the exit, and Jinder even taking slightly defensive line coming towards the next corner, and this is kind of
he's run a little bit wide.
There we go. It might not lose him too much time though, because it is a flat off-track area. Oh, Tipple actually coming out of nowhere.
Yep.
Pressuring Kaki, but still they're in the same order. Okay, that's. Oh, Kaki actually runs wide. He might be past there. Tipple trying to take advantage. They're going to be side by side coming towards the chicane. Tipple pulling ahead with the bare exit out of the previous corner on the inside for the chicane. You can't really go too wide into here, and Kaki has to back out of it, and he's made the first mistake that we've seen in the top 6 of this field, and Kaki drops down a position.
Yeah, I was actually going to point that out earlier, watching Dinder and Kaki. They're battling away, and they were battling, well, they weren't really battling too hard getting side by side, but I think Dinder was holding Kaki up a little bit, and Tipple was trying to take advantage of that. You can see the gap closing visibly up between the 3 drivers. He was also actually pulling Nestorovic with him as well. Taking a very quick look back to Michael M, who's got Jellyfish for fairly close company, but yeah, Tipple taking very good advantage there of the mistake by Kaki, has actually jumped to Jellyfish now. He's going around the outside into towards turn 1 of, I believe, Michael. He's not quite going to be able to pull the move off, and he's tucked back in underneath the rear wing of the roof and following through turns 2 and 3. He may potentially get a decent run coming out the exit here and be able to potentially try and make a move into turn 4. I think he had a slight look but thought better of it, and again tucked in behind the car and took the normal racing line. But a little bit of battling here, a couple of guys looking slightly quicker than others, and obviously wanting to try and gain an early position or two, especially when there's a little bit of space here in front of Michael, which I think Jellyfish has got his rather keen eye on.
Yep. And ooh, slightly wide here though for Mikael. But once again, that corner, even if you do unwind, is very forgiving. That corner, a few of the corners here not quite forgiving. Ooh, Jellyfish.
That's a spin.
He's gone around. Yeah, he's off the camera. I can't even see him. There we go. He's zoomed out now, and he's going to drop way down the field. He was very well inside the top 10. He's out of it now. 13th position. He might drop down another one. There is AJ trying to take advantage as well. Coming towards the chicane. I think Jellyfish just about has that covered, but is definitely lost out there. That's the first big mistake we've seen in this race so far.
And another one. He's just gone straight across the chicane there. So he's probably struggling with heat in the tyres now, I reckon, actually. Obviously, even though the conditions are rather wet, these wet tyres do grip to the circuit quite well, and he's actually got Silver Arrow for very close company, wanting to try and get past him in his SLS. But yeah, the wet tyres, if you spin those up, you can skyrocket the temperatures, and especially when you do lose the rear end like that and spin off the circuit, it's going to put the heat way up onto...
Did I see?
It did actually look like Wizard and Noz.
Yeah.
Noztra there, trying to make a move past Blue Rat, and I do also actually see AJ has gone and lost a position to Jellyfish, although AJ's trying to come back at Jellyfish through turn 1, but it looks like Jellyfish pulled off a pretty good move around the outside there. It looked like he got a little bit squirrely though coming out the exit of turn 2, and that's going to compromise him for turn 3. AJ's coming back at him now as coming in towards the braking zone of turn 4. He's got the inside line, a little bit of contact there between the 2 drivers.
Oh no!
AJ's going to spun off into the wall on the outside of the circuit. That's very unfortunate for him. He's going to probably suffer some damage from that. It looks like he has. He slipped down into 20th position as well. I imagine he's going to be absolutely furious inside the cockpit of that M3. He's gone and lost out a number of positions there to Jellyfish. I'm actually trying to see if I can pick him up now. He's still holding 13th position. Silver Arrow fairly close with the other guys behind, also closing up onto the back of him. So we've got a little bit of a train here, running from 13th position down to probably around P19, with Pedro down in P19. That's quite far back for him. Unusual to see him that far back. I see that Brownski's also made up a couple of positions. He's got himself back up into P10, so he's recovering from, I'm guessing, what could have been a moment earlier for him in his race, and is trying to work his way back up through the field in his Z4.
Yep, they all suddenly kick off then towards the back of the field. With that battle between Jellyfish and AJ. Unfortunately for AJ, I think he was, I wouldn't say optimistic to go for the move there into the chicane.
Got interrupted here. Sorry, Fizzy. Kaki and Tipple are going side by side, battle for fourth position. They're still at it side by side. They've just gone through two abreast through turns 1, 2, and 3. This has brought Nestorovic right up onto the back of these guys. And he's now actually having a look down the inside of Kaki into turn 4. These guys are giving each other a little bit more room. Wow. I almost thought that Nestorovic had pulled off a fantastic move there to slip himself past Kaki, but unfortunately he ran wide and into the gravel, and he completely lost the position that he had gained and lost all momentum, and Kaki's flipped himself back into P6. But yeah, Nestorovic trying to take a bit of an opportunistic moment there, trying to jump in on the battle that Tipple and Kaki were having, just giving a tiny bit of breathing room to Dinda as well in the Bentley, who's still in 4th. So, eventful stuff so far in these first few laps.
Quite surprising, really, to see Kaki struggling as much as he is at the moment. Qualified 5th, of course. It's a dropped in position, and he seemed to be a bit flustered maybe so far in this race. His teammate Ginger looking very nice in P4 as still quite a gap ahead of him, though. Papan kind of is still within very much visible range of TonyR ahead of him, trying to charge after him in that rough. Actually, as Martin, it looks like, though, Masa in the lead has pulled a pretty heavy gap on Tony, maybe about 4 or 5 seconds, I would say. So Masa looking good to take another win for him. I'm not sure, I don't have the exact stats on this, but I would guess that he's the most, the driver with most wins in the history of this league, being as he's won so many, especially in the last 2 seasons, obviously. Joined, and let's see. So we got the top 7 sorted at the moment. Mikael running quite nicely in 8th by himself. And we got 2 cars close together, Martin van der Bent, and that's Brownski, who was trying to make up another position in his race. Martin van der Bent actually put under pressure a bit there onto the curb, the outside of the second corner. Brownski very, very close behind. It's a tricky corner to pass on the next one, though, because it's a fast left-right chicane. And Martin van der Bent holds on. Then we got a slow corner. I mean, in terms of for overtaking purposes, it maybe would have been better if this slow corner was after the straight rather than after the chicane. But Martin van der Bent maybe helped him, because that's less under pressure than what it maybe would have been if the layout was different there. So yeah, these guys are going at it. Look at the stream quickly to see. Yeah, it looks like the gap between Mars and Tony up in front is about 5 seconds. The just for the viewers' information, the overlay with positions and the gap that you are seeing on the left side of the screen, I don't actually have that in game. But like when I'm confused about what the gap is between cars, then and you sitting there thinking like, well, Tracy, just look at the damn overlay. But I can't actually see that. So if I want to see the gaps, I need to look down at the stream, which is like 20 seconds delayed, and see and get an approximate from that. But yeah, you can see here Martin van der Bent still very much under pressure. At least van der Bent, he's on course for a better race now, Joki, than what he had in the first race.
Don't say the commentator's curse. It's very easy to say that someone's having a decent race, and then things go horribly wrong afterwards. But yeah, it looks like Brownski is trying to put a little bit of pressure. He seems to have dropped back a little bit. He's not obviously too far back. He's going to be picking up a slipstream here, but he's not anywhere near close enough to have a launch down the inside unless he wants to be super ridiculously brave and dive bomb Martin van der Bent.
Brownski now in the slipstream and in the spray. coming down towards turn 1 here, the left-right chicane. Not close enough. The straight line speed probably not doing him any favors. And you know, slipstream not the strongest slipstream in these cars compared to suddenly I'm used to kind of racing the Formula Renault cars on iRacing, and you got a crazy slipstream when you're within 8/10 of the car ahead. Whereas in these GT cars, you know, it's not as extreme, I would say.
No, I'd agree. Also, well, that's mainly because the cars rely on mechanical grip, as Brownski there is getting very close to the back of Martin as Martin runs out a little bit wide. Brownski holding a slightly tighter line on the exit, which is allowing him to get on the power a little bit earlier with a straighter car as Martin was still coming out the corner, and that kind of brought him right up onto the back. He's having a little bit of a look around the outside here.
Oh!
Martin, Brownski's just gone and lost the car, spinning around into the gravel. I think he's done pretty much a full 360 and has started to rejoin the circuit. Yeah, he pulls back in front of Maisie, who was behind him in the Ginetta, and has got Jellyfish and I believe Mini Black for company there. The battle for 11th position, but I wonder what happened there with Brownski. I wonder if he potentially dipped a wheel onto the grass on the outside in the braking zone. That's probably the only reason why I can think that the car would have spun out in that moment.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it looked like he put any wheels on the grass. I mean, I would have thought that maybe he like locked his rear brakes or something, but I mean, with realistic assists, I believe that car has a VS, so that would also be quite surprising. Yeah, definitely a weird mistake for Brownski there, and an uncharacteristic mistake, I guess you could say, because he usually quite consistent driver. But now that I'm looking actually at Maisie in 11th place, who really has to defend here. Who is that coming through? That is
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish on the inside into the first corner. That's a position you want to be in, because it's hard to go side by side there, and Jellyfish makes it stick just about with a bit of a twitch on the apex there, and that might actually put Maisie under pressure from the Bentley behind. That's Mini Black charging down the straight behind him, but has to slot in behind in the spray. Some good battling there again. Jellyfish obviously working his way back through the field after his earlier mistake. Seen a few mistakes already this race. To be honest, I would have kind of expected even more mistakes than this. We are nearly 10 laps into it now. We've only seen a couple of major ones. I mean, might have happened something out of view, of course, that we haven't spotted. Yeah, so far I'd say these guys are doing a pretty solid job. Yeah, obviously these conditions. Oh, as I'm actually watching, Blu-ray was having a spin there on the curb in the difficult braking zone for turn number 10, I believe. And he's dropped a position to, that was Centro in the Z4 as well, coming through, the teammate of Tipple and Brownski, but running further down the field. These are guys though still in the points. Blue Rat in 16th place at the moment. Points are awarded down to 16th. He's in on course for 1 point at the moment. Pedro RC though, he needs to watch out. Pedro RC not too far behind, only a couple of seconds. Might be a battle shaping up for the final point position. I'm going to look further forward now. Mini Black still very close behind Maisie for 12th position. Still Ferraro also in the battle. It's a three-way group charging down the front straight. This lovely circuit. And oh, actually, there's contact with Maisie. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Did he brake early, or did Mini Black just go way too deep?
I'm not too sure. I didn't really see. I just picked it up literally just as they made contact. I imagine Mini Black trying to pick up as much slipstream as possible on the back of Maisie there. Probably just could not see the braking point, and being in the dirty air of the car in front, you lose braking power and braking effectiveness, and just went straight into the back of Maisie there, which is probably gone incurred a fair amount of damage to both cars. Mini Black has done the right thing though, and has slowed down and let Maisie back past with a fairly decent gap in front of him, but that's actually brought Centro right up into the back of Mini Black's sorry, completely losing the car. The Mini Black's the Bentley, there we go. Cheers for that's why I've got you here, is for times like this when I mess up.
I thought it was the other way around. I mean, you're meant to be knowing these things, and I'm meant to be confused. But yeah, obviously a gift for Silver Arrow, of course. It was running immediately behind these two. He's now gifted 12th position and quite a bit of gap as well. So Macy running slightly wide out of the chicane there. yeah, good to see then Mania Black obviously letting Maisie back through, so clearly taking the blame and not not gaining an advantage from causing that collision. As I said, just very hard sometimes to spot the breaking point when you got the spray of the car head right in your face. I assume all these guys are driving from the cockpit view, and it's very limited view, of course, and the spray certainly doesn't help. Here comes Centro, in fact, on Mini Black's Bentley. Centro in the Z4, but he doesn't have the straight line speed. You can just see the difference there. We touched on the Z4's lack of straight line speed before. He's actually, can he have a move? He just doesn't. Once he pulls out of the slipstream, he just doesn't gain any further. Going for it, though, they're going to be side by side. Bentley wins the battle. Mini Black, well, doing well to leave Centro just about enough room on the inside there of the first corner, and holding it around that side without losing too much speed. But he's definitely lost some time to Maisie ahead. That's not what he would have wanted. I mean, Mini Black, a very fast driver last season, not really found his pace yet with the Bentley. That is changing for this season, where he would like to look forward in the field rather than backwards, but at the moment he's got his mirrors full of that Z4 of Centro.
It looks like Centro's dropping back a little bit. Blue Rat there in 16th position.
Oh! Centro just completely disappeared off the track there.
Oh, did he?
Into the gravel trap he goes, and where is he now? He managed to find his way back onto the track, but yeah, it was weird. Yeah, still in 15th. Oh, now he's dropped back towards Blue Rat again. Yeah, it was weird. I was watching the Bentley of Mini Black, and then suddenly Centro bound just goes completely out of the camera view. But luckily, he seems to have saved it without any sort of touch with the wall or anything. At the moment, and Kaki is actually down to 8th. Something has happened there. Kaki has dropped. He was P6 before running behind Tipple. He's now 8th. Dropped to both of the roofs of Nesterovic and Mikhail, so I can only assume that is quite a few seconds. I can only assume that Kaki has had some kind of mistake as well now.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thought process as well. I think Bentley could really be struggling in these conditions. Obviously, Kaki's a very, very quick driver. Dinder's not doing too bad for himself, still holding on to 4th position. Yeah, he's holding a good, steady race. But I'm wondering if Kaki is struggling a little bit with the setups for these rather tricky conditions, and yeah, it's just not really hooked up. Bentley just doesn't really seem all that well hooked up for him at the moment.
And we've got a battle on for 2nd place as well now. Papan has finally managed to close that gap to TonyR to within a second. Going down the front straight now. Papan's in the rough, and TonyR in the Aston Martin, of course. Another interesting car battle there. Wonder if, well, if anything, Papan just being there might just put TonyR in a slightly different mindset. He'll be focusing a little bit less on the track and a little bit more on Papan, perhaps, and that could increase the chances of him making a mistake. So we'll have to see how that develops, and yeah, an interesting battle as well for 4th place with Jinza ahead of Tipple. Nice to see some groups forming, some battles forming here in the top 5 as well. Ooh, Tipple might. He actually took a slightly aggressive line into there. Oh, and Tinder's made a mistake. Oh, he's coming completely around. That is not good. Oh, and he's going to have to brake as well to not rejoin on the racing line. He's still stuck because it's cocked. Yeah, I think he stalled it there. That definitely looked like it. And he might get in the way now for Nesterovic, for Mikhail even, as well. Where Kaki is nowhere to be seen. I swear Kaki was not far behind Mikhail before, but they're going to be side by side. Actually, Dinder trying to fight Mikhail off air just about. He's actually held it on the inside. Nice move. Very nice move through turn 8 there. And he's taking a defensive line now through the turn 9 apex into the turn 10 braking zone. And Ginger, at least, I mean, he was running so well in 4th place. And that's the first mistake he's made this race. So instead of now being in the battle with Tipple, going to have to fight off Mikhail as well. A little shout to Mikhail, in fact, because he's the reigning champion of the 2nd division on the PC platform, the Pro League. Won that league last season. And finished 13th, I believe, in the first race at Brno. So he's also having a very solid race at the moment in 7th.
And looking back to Kaki in 11th position, I'm actually wondering if Kaki's going to
Another
made
mistake.
an early pit stop.
Oh, maybe, yeah. No, I don't feel like he's dropped enough back to have made a pit stop, has he?
I think he could have. Where? Let's have a look. See.
Down in 8th. So it's only dropped like 10 seconds, maybe. I feel like he might have had another mistake, to be honest.
Michael's just gone through the chicane. Kaki is... Yeah, you're right, he's coming up towards the chicane now. Yeah, he probably has made a mistake then. Yeah, you're right, it's not been long enough for the pit stop unless we see some ridiculously blistering pace from Kaki somewhere off screen and he's gained 20-30 seconds in a couple of laps.
Don't slick tires, just go for it. But on his screen, it's not raining.
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting slicks on in these conditions. No, definitely not. Wet here, and yeah, he's probably suffering with some overheating tyres as well, especially if he's making a number of mistakes like that. The tyres just fall away from you, and the issue just compounds itself. It gets worse and worse. You can see him there. Look, a little bit squirrely under brakes, not quite getting the car slowed down and running a little bit deep. This is going to give Silver Arrow a pretty good opportunity to go on the brakes down the inside into the chicane. Will he go for the move? It looks like he is. And Kaki just gives him the position, gives him the line, doesn't really fight it too much, and lets Silver Arrow pass up into 11th position with quite a nice move there. I imagine Kaki just doesn't have the tyres to fight that one. Just thought better of it and just let Silver Arrow go.
Yeah. It's weird seeing Kaki make all these mistakes, because we saw him in the season opener. He was so fast, so consistent out in front, running extremely fast lap, pulling away consistently throughout the whole race from F1 Masa, reigning champion. But on this occasion, it is Kaki, the man struggling a lot, whereas F1 Masa, the man pulling out a big gap out in front. I think he's got nearly a 15-second gap to TonyR in second. I'm gonna quickly check on them actually. TonyR still running just ahead of Papan. We still got a battle going on for second place. These two guys close together, but Papan have not managed to really find a way to challenge him all too much so far in the race. It's good to see Papan up there though. I feel like he deserves to have a good race in this one, considering what happened with him in the first race.
Silver Arrow is coming under threat from Kaki at the moment as they come through into turn 4. Turn 5 looks like Kaki's just following in through for now. There was, if I remember correctly, a car between Silver Arrow and Brownski earlier on. I think it may have been Jellyfish. Jellyfish was catching Brownski, and Brownski was trying to catch Martin van der Bent. I imagine Jellyfish is possibly pitted now with 16 laps to go. But yeah, Silver Arrow under threat at the moment.
Martin van der Bent has pitted, I think, because he's way down the field now.
Yes, you're right. Sorry, I'm getting Martin van der Bent and Jellyfish mixed up. It looks like Jellyfish has gone past Brownski at some point then.
Oh.
Off track. Yeah. As I'm pretty sure Jellyfish was the one who was chasing down Brownski and Brownski was chasing down Martin.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I imagine, like you say, Martin probably pitted. And I imagine a number of these guys will be pitting very, very soon as well. I'm actually going to bring up the leaderboards here to see if we can see anyone picking up into the pits anytime soon. I believe the guys are still going round. We're over halfway in the race.
Exactly, so it would make sense to pit right now. To have a similar stint on the fresh set of tires, and
that's if you actually need to pit though.
That's
now actually starting to come into question as to whether the guys can actually do the full race distance on a single set of tyres.
I mean, it's a gamble to take, I suppose, in the sense that if the tyre wear is relatively bad, you're gonna be more prone to mistakes towards the end of the race when the tyres are even worse to drive on. But maybe they have calculated it and found that despite it's a gamble worth taking, because if they can keep the car on track, then they'll lose too much time in the pit lane compared to what they'll actually lose on the track with the worst tires. So yeah, it's a moment, not many people pitting, as you say. So it remains to be seen if Martin van der Bent has actually made a mistake then, if he's actually gone in.
Kaki's down in 13th and is really, really struggling.
All these guys making mistakes off camera. It's confusing.
Yes, it is. Stop doing it.
Yeah,
in front of us.
Exactly. Can't you just know somehow when you're watching and then do your mistake? I mean, can be a little bit considerate here. Uh, but yeah, Kaki's made so many mistakes now in this race, and once again dropped down to 13th. He's only on course now to score 4 points. Guess I would give him. So Masa's gonna, pass him in the championship and by a huge margin as well. The way it's going, but the way he would have liked his, early championship challenge to go. Oh yeah, Silver Arrow then in the top 10. Jellyfish, Brownski, and Mikhail not too far behind Jinder, but Jinder seems to have the pace on him. He's just gradually pulled slightly away the last few laps. Osterovic still running silently there in 5th position. Tipple as well. Brownski's teammate, of course, running very, very solidly up in 4th in that Z4 car.
Only a car length or so between it. It looks like Papa's actually got a pretty good run coming out the exit of turn 3 here. I don't think he's quite close enough to have a look down the inside into turn 4. No, TonyR taking his usual line and Papan just following him through for the moment. But yeah, these guys running pretty close together. 12 laps to go. I don't think their tyres will be in the best of conditions, so this is going to be a really, really interesting battle to see who's got what left on their tyres and who can, well, whether can Tony fight and hold the position, or can Papand try and slip himself past as he runs a little bit wide there onto the runoff on the outside of that rather deceptive left-hander, I must say, as well. You think you can take it a fair bit quicker than you actually have to.
Yeah.
And it catches out quite a few people.
Especially as it leads into a braking zone as well, so you're kind of starting the slowdown process for the corner after it, even through that kink. And TonyR running slightly wider than Papan out of the chicane there. Gonna lose him any time though. He'll have pretty good control of that Aston Martin. Onto the curb hard on the outside there as well, into final corner now, going onto the start-finish straight, and Papan is getting a very good exit, but can that rough pull itself close enough to Tony to have a chance? It's not the biggest of braking zones for the first corner here, down into chicane, more so than like a hairpin style corner. That maybe would have been better for overtaking purposes, but TonyR still got that covered. And there's another back marker, that is Pedro RC. These guys have already started lapping the cars that are still in the points. So quite a big spread at the moment between the guys at the top and the guys at the back, which is quite unsurprising given the vast difference in costs, and with the challenging conditions, always be a bit more of a gap between cars. Make it work around the track with these conditions, and the cars that don't, and Pedro gets nicely moving himself to the side there, get in the way, which is what we like to see. In the chat we got, there's a few shout outs. We got Alihood 42, Mini Mariner, we got Mini Black. Oh, Mini Black, wait, Mini Black's in the chat.
Mini Black should be in the chat. Mini Black's going to be driving.
Wait, Mini Black is not driving.
Mini Black's not driving.
He was the man I was missing. Mini Black, what have you done? Let us know in the chat what the freak happened to you, so that we can inform the rest of the guys.
Please do.
So that's unfortunate, because I think Mini Black was running in like 12th or 11th, around that area.
He was doing okay, I believe. He was struggling a bit with his Bentley.
Yeah, another Bentley driver.
Yes, the Bentleys don't seem to be having the best of times this race with these conditions. I haven't actually driven the Bentley in the wet, so I don't know what it's actually like. In the dry, it's interesting. I'll put it that way. I don't think it really suits my personal driving style and tastes from the times that I have driven it. But yeah, I can imagine it being a bit of a handful in these wet conditions with the traction. I believe it should have traction control, which should help, but obviously that only helps to an extent. You can still spin up the rear wheels, especially when the surface of the road is covered in water and is rather slippery. So yeah.
And Mini Black now saying in the chat that his brake pedals broke. Or his pedals broke. So clearly that might have actually been a reason why he made a mistake, because he hits into the back of what was it into the back of? back Maisie, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm watching right now, actually.
Whoa,
That-
Dindo, what's going on there? I've got an awful lot of lag. Could just be me, but it looked like Dindo ran deep. Martin van der Bent having to get well out of the way there to let these guys come through. That could potentially allow Mikhail to close up onto the back of him. We should have the slipstream coming down the start-finish straight, but yeah, sim racer problems there for Miniplac with the pedals braking. Hopefully he'll be able to get those fixed for the next round. It's rather unfortunate to hear.
Yeah, never like to see any drivers getting technical issues, whether that is, you know, with their equipment, with the game, with the internet connections, you know, all of those kind of things. Is things I don't want to see. All we want is everyone to have a nice, enjoyable race, of course, and things like that can get in the way occasionally. That's just part of online racing, though. You kind of have to just accept it sometimes, and hopefully that'll be fine for him for the next race.
Dropping back to Nostra in 14th. He's got Blue Rat just behind him, and then Pedro in 16th is just behind Blue Rat. Very, very close. In fact, pretty much tucked up underneath the rear wing of the BMW. No, wait, sorry.
That was a lapper, I think. Tipple potentially coming through, I would say.
Yeah, it was.
Fourth position. Blue Rat's not giving him too an easy time to get through there, but they managed to sort it out in the end. Oh, but Blue Rat now spinning off the curb.
The chicane, the first part, a little bit awkwardly there, and just unsettled the car, took away the grip from the tyres, and around he went. That's going to cost him a place. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Place that is only worth 1 point out, so hopefully, you know, obviously it's always annoying to drop places, but it's only 1 point, so not the biggest of deals. He's still just about within the points positions. I believe where he finished last race as well. He got 16th in the first race as well. So let's see. Nostra now, the next man that has to let Tipple through. I wonder if he'll do that right now. He will indeed. That's Mercedes SLS. Kaki still just cruising around now in 13th. Has been lapped by his championship rival. Well, you'd say championship rival based on the first race only, of course. Kaki and Massa were the two stand-up drivers in the first race, and now it's been a completely different scenario, especially for Kaki, who's really struggled here, as we've seen. Maisie still just holding on in that Ginetta ahead of Sancho in the battle for 11th position. Silver Arrow, Jellyfish, Brownski cruising around. Drop the field. Mikhail once again being dropped by Zinda. Never know, Dinda's made a couple of mistakes earlier in the race. He might just make another one if Mikhail stays close and keeps the pressure on. Nesterovic also not too far ahead. We've got 6 laps to go though, so I'm sure Dinda will have the time to catch up to him before the race ends. Tipple now lapping another car. I believe that is... what's that? Probably Blu-ray again. Is that maybe AJ?
No, it's not Blue Rat. It's not AJ. I think it's Vice Guy.
Oh, of
Vice
course,
Guy
yeah,
is
Vice
in
Guy,
the
yeah.
BMW.
Where's he running at the moment?
He is in last position, yes.
Right. Well, last time the guy's still out on track at least.
And Papand and TonyR still pretty close with 5 laps to go as well. This next corner that they're coming down towards now into the braking zone is a pretty good overtaking opportunity. If not, stay behind them, follow them through for the next 2 corners, and then try and make a move down into turn 1. It looked like Papand pulled out from the spray there of Tony a little bit. Just present himself in the mirrors, trying to potentially distract Tony, but may also actually be trying to get out the spray to actually be able to see the track.
Yeah, a bit of a dilemma that.
Yeah, and pick up his braking point. It doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to mount a challenge down the inside into turn 1, not unless Tony makes a rather uncharacteristic mistake. But it looks like Tony is keeping himself pretty calm and level-headed at the moment. Keeping his car, his Aston Martin, quite firmly within the confines of the circuit in 2nd place.
Yep. Really not put, as far as I was anyway, really not put a foot wrong all race as TonyR, and that is of course the main reason why Papand has not managed to find a way through, because it's been very close on several occasions, but just has not managed to get his car close enough into the braking zone to actually pull off a move. And I've seen him get very close a few times, especially out of the final corner onto the main straight, but he doesn't really seem to be gaining time on the straight on the Master Martin, despite being in the slipstream. But he's got that spray in his face, and you know, like you touched on, he has to pull out of it. You know, when it comes towards the braking zone to actually have a chance of seeing his braking point. And yeah, very, you know, you kind of want to be. I mean, on certain other tracks, maybe you actually prefer to be the car behind in this situation. You know, if you knew there were good chances to overtake and you knew you had a car that could do it. But in these conditions, and you know, this tricky track, being the car ahead here without a spray in your face as well is definitely an advantage, and TonyR is relishing that at the moment. Only have 3 laps remaining in the race, which means that Massa will have started lap number 34 out of 36. Once again onto the main straight. Papan not close enough. He must be pretty frustrating for Papan there in 3rd place to have run behind TonyR for so long. You know, he's managed to close the gap. He was around 2 seconds. Here we go, the first mistake. Here we go. Papan's gonna pull ahead out of the chicane. There we go. Finally, TonyR's consistency breaks, and Papan takes 2nd place. And now he will have 2 laps in the reverse situation of actually having to be the man defending now. TonyR finally maybe had a slight lapse of concentration. You know, you kind of zone into your own world sometimes when you're doing the same thing over and over again, like Tony has done, and suddenly it just snaps. You have a tiny split-second misjudgment into a braking zone, and then you end up on the curb, and Papan was right there to take advantage. And finally, we've seen these guys swap positions. It'll be interesting now to see in the final 2.5 laps whether TonyR has anything to fight back with now.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate there, and it actually looks like Papan has actually gone a little bit deep himself going into the braking zone of that corner, but has kept the car on the circuit and hasn't lost too much time. That was rather interesting to see. Tony going a little bit deep there, potentially locking a wheel and buckling a little bit under the pressure from Papan, only knowing that there's a couple of laps left to go. Usually I prefer to be the chaser in these kind of situations, and Papa's gone a little bit deep there, locking up the brakes a little bit into the penultimate corner. This has brought Tony right up onto the rear wing and onto the back of Papan's car. Tony's just got to get a decent run coming out of here. He should have the straight line speed advantage over the roof with the V10 compared to what I believe is a V6 in the roof. TonyR is going to probably have to go around the outside of Papan here, coming down towards turn 1. They're going side by side, coming into the braking zone. Will Tony be able to make this move around the outside, going now through the first turn? Both of them giving each other a little bit of room there. Tony wasn't quite able to hang it around the outside, has had to drop back in to 3rd position and settle in behind Papan, but things are getting very heated here in the last few minutes of this race, and it looks like that Tony trying to stick his nose up the inside of Papan once again, just trying to put and apply the pressure as much as he can to Papan. Obviously he wants that 2nd position back after losing it a lap or 2 ago. And, oh, this is going to be exciting stuff, is he?
Yeah, a lap and a half to go. And you have to remember that these guys have been driving for over an hour by now. You know, I think the race length is, you know, is anticipated to be around an hour, 5 minutes or something in these conditions around here.
Yep.
And so these guys will be starting to get a little bit tired. Be going around for a long time. And it's only got 1.5 laps to go now even. And Papan will, you know, really be shaking in his boots to with the pressure that TonyR just jumped the curb there on the first part of the chicane. He's not lost too much time from it though. He has managed to keep the car stable, despite that curb being absolutely massive. So it'll be interesting now. He'll only exit the penultimate corner here, or the final corner even, onto the straight 2 more times this race. This is the only time we'll have the full straight to pull off an overtake. Papan looked to be going a bit hard on the curbs there. TonyR getting a decent exit by the looks of it, but he's in that spray, in the slipstream, and he's not close enough really. He was closer, definitely closer on the previous lap when they were side by side into the next corner. TonyR getting closer, but not too big of a not too much of a braking point. Yeah, braking zone, and no, did not go for it on this occasion, and now we'll have to find a way through at some other place on the track. It's gonna have to take either a Papan mistake here, Yoki, or a TonyR extremely amazing move to get the 2nd position.
Yeah, the only place I could really think of that Tony's going to have the best opportunity is coming out of the chicane and then coming down the hill towards the penultimate corner. That's the next major braking zone where there's ample room for both cars to go side by side. So Tony's really got set himself up for that move. He probably knows that that's going to be the best place to make the move as well. As it looks like Papan's there, gone a little bit deep, which would have inspired Tony a little bit, given him a little bit more confidence. Imagine these guys are both on the limits of the tyres as well. I don't think either of them have made a stop. Looks like TonyR's just hooking up the curbs a little bit better and nailing the apexes than Papan at the moment. TonyR needs to really nail this chicane and get a decent exit coming out of here. He's going to try and apply the pressure, both of them breaking at pretty much exactly the same time. Tony's got a straight line, that car coming out through the exit. He's going to get on the power now. Now he's got to try and pick up the slipstream as we come down towards his best overtaking opportunity that he's going to have on this final lap. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to do it unless Papan makes a mistake. Looks like both drivers have got themselves slowed down, but Tony's getting very, very close to the back of Papan coming through that second to last corner, and then they're just going to follow each other through the final turn and to come across the line with F1 Massa in first. Papan coming away in second, managing to capitalise on the mistake from TonyR. TonyR finishing in third place. Good race, good battling by both of them. Centro is not the next person.
Nope.
Neither is Maisie. Tipple is the next person who's going to come home in fourth position. And
Nesterovic in fifth. Obviously, the order gets a bit messed up by the game when lapped cars start crossing the line in the middle of the other guys on the lead lap. But Nesterovic, he says he's in eighth. He's actually in fifth position, coming across the line. And then we have Dinder, who is really outperformed his teammates and countryman Kaki in this Bentley around here in these conditions. He's had a solid race, had a couple of mistakes, but sixth is still good for him in that Bentley. We got Mikhail, the reigning second division champion, coming home in seventh place. Then let's try to find whoever is next.
God.
Really have no idea. I believe Brownski potentially.
I think it could have been Brownski, it must have been Brownski, but yeah, the positions got very muddled up. I've just seen Martin van der Bent's car as well also have a spin coming across the line, and it's now got an absolutely massive rear wing to the back of his Aston Martin. It's stood up a good foot and a half probably above the top of his car as the rear, the back of his, what should I say, the boot of his car has become dislodged. It's set up a lot higher. That's a really interesting shape actually now.
Yeah. I think it's pretty
cool,
to be
nice. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It looks like a hill climb car now. But yeah, we'll try and find the official results listing for you guys. So we're having a very quick look through now. Massa, Papan, Tony, Tipple, Nestorovic, Dinder, Michael, Brownski, Jellyfish, Silver Arrow are the top 10 by the looks of it.
Yep.
Centro
passed Macy then in the end. Interesting. Was running behind Macy for quite a while.
Yes, they have swapped places. And then Kaki will be coming home in 13th position.
Very disappointing for him, to be honest, considering he won the first race so dominantly, and now he's gone completely
lost an awful lot of points.
Yeah.
Nostra in 14th, Pedro in 15th, Martin van der Bent, who was doing rather well earlier on in the early stages of this race, has seemed to be hit by bad luck and has now got a new shaped Aston Martin. He finished in 16th. Blue Rat falling out of the points down into 17th. I imagine he was probably struggling with his tyres towards the end of the race. Should be coming up to come across the start-finish line fairly soon, and then Vice Guy be coming home in 18th position. And obviously AJ, Mini Black and Andrex, the retirees of this race.
So yeah, an interesting race again. Over an hour of racing in the rain around Imola. I mean, I don't know what more you can really ask for on a Wednesday night. And yeah, F1 Massa taking advantage of, of himself being fast, and of course of Kaki not having a good day at the office. And, yeah, very good as well for... yeah, I'm very happy with Papan and TonyR throwing up that exciting battle towards the end of the race. That was really good to watch. TonyR, who had a lot of good battles in the first race as well, I think. No, I wouldn't mind to be in his shoes so far this season. He's had some enjoyable fights. And, well, yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting race. Let's see what we have got next week for you guys. So, Wednesday, 6th of April next week at the same time, we have got Le Mans Bugatti. Or Baguette, as I like to call it.
That should be a fairly interesting circuit. It's fairly similar to Imola, I'd say. With some of the curbs, some of the chicanes. Yeah, it's quite a bumpy circuit. There's a couple of rather tricky and technical corners. Ones that seem fairly deceptive. It feels like you could get on the power quite early and then suddenly realise that you're running out of track very quickly, and you kind of you basically get on too hard. So it'll be interesting to see how the guys adapt to that one. Do you know the weather conditions for that race?
We shall be having a dry race at Le Mans Bugatti, but it will be with some overcast conditions, so not too sunny.
Okay.
And also, we're starting quite early. It's an early start time of 7 AM. So, will that be in the sunrise, I wonder? We'll have to...
It will be, yeah. Obviously, the guys will have to get up early, get the Weetabix in, and then get themselves
straight into the car,
sorted and ready. Yep. Hang on for their would probably usually be their morning rush hour commute, but it's not. They're racing around a race.
I would much rather race around a racetrack at 7 AM in the morning than struggle my way through traffic in the city.
Me too.
Lunch with you.
Me too.
So, yeah, Le Mans Bugatti next week. That'll be certainly another interesting race, another challenge for these drivers. We'll see how tackle that. So, yep. Thank you all for watching this stream. And those who watched it on YouTube later, thank you to you as well, of course. And cheers, Yoki, for being in the commentary box. Cheers for everyone who was watching. And, yeah, we'll see you next week at Le Mans Baguette. So, cheers, guys. See you next time.
Cheers. Bye.